There's a kind of goodbye that stings, not because it's angry, not because it's dramatic, but because it's unforgettable. The words, the look, the feeling, it lingers in his mind long after you've walked away. And if you do it right, he'll replay that moment in his head again and again. Most people think goodbye has to be cold, distant, or final. But the truth is, goodbye can be powerful. It can be the very moment that makes him realize your value, your strength, and everything he just lost. So today, I'm going to show you the 5 elements of a goodbye that leaves a man haunted in the best way possible. Drama fades, peace echoes. If you leave screaming, he'll remember the noise, but if you leave calm, centered, and strong, he'll remember your power. Because nothing unsettles a man more than realizing you didn't need the last word, you only needed your dignity. When emotions are high, it's tempting to explode, to yell to make sure he knows just how much he's hurt you. But drama doesn't leave a lasting impression, it only leaves noise. What truly lingers is when you choose calm, when you walk away with peace instead of chaos. It unsettles him because he expected fire and got quiet strength. That silence speaks louder than any outburst ever could. Calm is powerful because it shows control. It tells him you are not defined by his choices or by the ending, but by the way you carry yourself through it. When you don't crumble, he's forced to see you differently. He realizes he can't shake you, can't break you, can't reduce you to a scene. And in that realization, respect is born, even if it arrives too late for him to keep you. Think about it. Chaos makes him dismiss your pain as drama, but calm makes him sit with it. When you're steady, he replays your composure again and again, wondering why you didn't collapse like he thought you would. That replay is where the regret lives, because in your stillness, you're showing him a version of strength that's unforgettable. That's the echo that stays in his mind. Walking away with peace doesn't mean you don't feel the heartbreak. It means you refuse to let the heartbreak define you. It's about channeling the storm inside into dignity on the outside. And men, whether they admit it or not, remember that. They remember the woman who didn't make a scene but made an impact, the one who chose her self-respect over chaos. That image stays. So when you reach that final moment, pause, breathe, choose your exit carefully, not because he deserves it, but because you do. Because your calm goodbye is more than an ending, it's a statement. It says, I was real, I was steady, and I won't let chaos write my last chapter. That's the kind of goodbye that lives rent-free in his mind, long after you've walked away. Bitterness makes him defensive. Gratitude disarms him, saying thank you for the moments we shared, they mattered to me, leaves him questioning why you could be so graceful while he couldn't hold on to you. Bitterness feels natural when someone has hurt you. It's the easy reflex to let your goodbye drip with sarcasm or anger. But here's the truth, bitterness never lands the way you want. It doesn't make him regret losing you. It just makes him defensive. Gratitude, on the other hand, catches him off guard. It makes him question why you can be gracious in a moment he expected hostility. When you say thank you instead of how could you change the entire memory of that goodbye. Gratitude shows that you valued the moments you shared, even if they weren't perfect. And that makes him replay your words again and again because he knows he didn't deserve your kindness. That kind of strength shakes him far more than anger ever could. Imagine 2 exits, one where you lash out and one where you calmly say thank you for what we had. The first makes him focus on your anger, the second makes him focus on his loss. Because gratitude doesn't excuse what he did, it highlights what he gave up. It paints you as someone who can rise above pain, and that contrast is what sticks in his memory. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's elegance. It's saying, I can appreciate what was good, even if it didn't end the way I hoped. That's not letting him off the hook, that's letting yourself walk away lighter. And men, whether they admit it or not, find that unforgettable, because most goodbyes end with poison, yours ends with grace, and grace is haunting. So when you reach that crossroads, choose gratitude, not for him, but for yourself. Thank him for the moments, for the lessons, even for the heartbreak, because gratitude isn't about him deserving it, it's about you refusing to let bitterness stain your exit. And that choice is what turns an ending into a memory he'll carry far longer than either of you expect. Don't beg, don't plead, don't chase. A goodbye that stings is one where he expected you to break, but instead you held yourself together. That strength is what he'll replay in his mind when he's alone. Desperation is the one thing that erases the power of your goodbye. The moment you beg, plead, or chase, you hand over your dignity. And here's the truth, dignity is what he remembers most when it's all over. If you can stand tall when he expected you to collapse, that's the moment he realizes just how much strength you carry inside you. That image lingers. When you hold back desperation, you create mystery. Instead of giving him the satisfaction of knowing you can't live without him, you show him that you can, and that unsettles him. It makes him question whether he ever truly understood your depth, because strength in silence is unforgettable, while desperation is forgettable. It looks the same on everyone. Think about it, when someone begs, the natural reaction is to pull away even further. But when someone calmly walks away, the natural reaction is curiosity, even regret. He replays it in his head. Why didn't she chase? Why didn't she fight harder? That unanswered question becomes the echo that follows him long after the door is closed. Holding back desperation isn't about pretending not to care. It's about honoring yourself enough not to reduce your worth to begging. You can love deeply and still let go gracefully, and that balance is rare. Most people lose control in the moment of goodbye, but when you don't, when you hold your line, you leave him with an impression that is impossible to erase. So when you feel that urge to grasp, pause. Remind yourself that your value isn't proven by how tightly you can hold on. It's proven by how confidently you can let go. Because desperation will fade from his memory, but your strength in that moment, that's what he'll keep replaying. Not the begging, not the tears, but the unshakable image of you choosing yourself. A simple, heartfelt line, something like, "I hope you find what you're looking for," will echo far louder than a lecture. Because those words are not just goodbye, they're a mirror. They make him ask himself if he just let go of the person who was what he was looking for all along. When goodbyes happen, most people flood the air with explanations, anger, or endless words. But here's the secret: less is more. A single calm truth leaves more impact than 1,000 reasons. When you choose one clear line, something simple but powerful, it echoes in his mind, not because you said a lot, but because you said just enough for it to stick. That one truth becomes a mirror. For example, "I hope you find what you're looking for." Those words aren't bitter, they aren't desperate, they're dignified. And they force him to sit with the question, what if what he's looking for just slipped away? That's the kind of thought that replays in the quiet. When he's alone, when he can't distract himself from reality, the beauty of one clear truth is that it's unforgettable. Long after emotions fade, long after the details blur, he'll remember that line. It doesn't matter what else was said, he'll keep circling back to that final sentence. And that repetition carves it into memory, because clarity delivered with calm always outlasts chaos delivered in anger. Leaving him with a clear truth also gives you power. It allows you to walk away knowing you didn't over-explain, didn't justify, didn't beg. You simply left a message that defined your goodbye. That's what dignified love looks like. Not fighting to be understood, but trusting that your truth is enough. That kind of confidence is magnetic and unforgettable. So, when that moment comes, don't waste it on speeches. Choose one simple, authentic truth and let it stand. Say it, mean it, and then walk away. Because that single line will live in his mind far longer than any angry outburst ever could. That's the goodbye he'll replay. Not because of what you took from him, but because of the strength you left behind. The final image he holds of you should be one of grace. A smile, a calm tone, a quiet exit. When you leave without slamming doors literally or emotionally, you burn yourself into his memory, because deep down he knows he lost someone who loved with elegance, not ego. Punishment feels tempting. You want him to feel what you feel, to hurt the way he hurt you. But punishment doesn't leave a lasting impact. It only traps you in bitterness. Poise, however, is unforgettable. When you end with composure instead of cruelty, you show that your worth was never tied to revenge. And that image of strength is what burns into his memory. Think about the power of your final impression. If you slam the door, curse his name, or drag him down, the story ends on chaos. But if you hold your head high, leave with a calm tone, maybe even a small smile, that's the picture he replays. It unsettles him because he expected rage. Instead, you gave him elegance, and elegance always echoes louder. Noise isn't about denying your pain, it's about choosing dignity over destruction. It says, you don't get the satisfaction of seeing me break. That's not coldness, that's confidence. Because the woman who leaves with grace instead of venom is the woman he can't stop thinking about. Not because she punished him, but because she rose above him. Ending with noise also protects your future. Punishment ties you to the past while grace frees you. When you let go without venom, you create space for healing, growth, and someone better to enter your life. That freedom is what makes your goodbye powerful, not just for him, but for you. Because real closure doesn't come from hurting back, it comes from choosing peace. So when the final moment comes, breathe, stand tall, leave with poise, not for him, but for yourself, because years from now, he may not remember the arguments, the details, or the dates, but he'll remember how you left, with calm strength, with dignity, with elegance. And that's the goodbye he'll replay in his head again and again. The goodbye he'll replay isn't the one full of anger. It's the one that shows your strength, your peace, your gratitude, because that's the goodbye that makes him realize long after you're gone, you weren't just another chapter in his life. You were the one he should have never let go. At the end of the day, the goodbye he replays isn't about what you took from him, it's about the strength, grace, and dignity you left behind. Because real power isn't in making someone hurt, it's in reminding yourself you were always worth more than begging, bitterness, or chaos. And if this resonated with you, don't just leave here quietly. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment with the line that hit you hardest, and let's talk about it. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, because every week I'll give you the tools, not just to be unforgettable in love, but unstoppable in life.